The following presentation, China's Belt and Road Initiative, What It Means to India and India's Rise in Asia, was held by Dr. Jagannath P. Panda. On the conference, Korea, the Iron Silk Road and the Belt and Road Initiative, Soft Power and Hard Power Approaches. The conference discusses an urgent and deep processing topic. How can middle powers like South Korea and Germany benefit from closer economic and political linkages across the Eurasian landmass, in particular the Belt and Road Initiative, dominated by China? Should they rather jump on the bandwagon, or should they follow distinct own initiatives, either in their region or interregionally?
Very good afternoon from New Delhi. At the outset, let me thank Professor Ralph Robel for this kind invitation. And what I could see from this conference panel is that it's a list of outstanding speakers and experts. So I really feel privileged and really thank Professor Robel to invite me to be a part of this excellent conference. Now, what I could see from the conference is that we are talking about a highly debatable and contested issue, that is the Belt and Road Initiative, or let's say the Silk Road projects that the world for some time is talking about. Now, of course, India is not really different. India is not really, aloof from this debate, and India is very much a part of this debate. But the debate that India holds on China's Belt and Road Initiatives is something very different. And therefore, I will try to provide a context to my presentation. What I have done is that I have prepared a few slides of maps so that I can show you the maps and I can share my views and we can have Q and answer. We can have discussion. Sorry, I'm having a little, breathing problem, so I'll just speak slowly. What I am going to do is that I'll start with the India's formal position on the Belt and Road Initiatives, but then I will link it with India's China policy and try to see how India is looking at China and towards the Indo-Pacific region, and how India is actually responding to China when it comes to the Belt and Road Initiatives. Now, if you kindly remember, it was 2013 onwards when the Chinese started talking about, maritime Silk Road and SRAB, Silk Road Economic Belt, and eventually they came out with One Belt, One Road, and later they revised BRI. But India is the only country from the beginning which has actually hold a very specific position about China's Belt and Road Initiatives. And let me tell you that it was during 2013 and 14 when the Chinese were actually about to formally introduce the Belt and Road Initiatives to the entire world. That time, the previous Prime Minister Manmohan Singh was here in Delhi. And when actually that time the Chinese Prime Minister visited India, he invited Prime Minister Manmohan Singh to support this scheme and be a part of the Belt and Road Initiatives, One Belt, One Road Initiatives. But then India refused. And then there was a lot of expectation in 2014 when a new government came in New Delhi, that is Prime Minister Modi-led government. There was a lot of expectation from the Chinese that India will support the One Belt, One Road Initiatives. But on the contrary, India actually opposed the Belt and Road Initiatives and did not really support it. In fact, after that, if you see, in 2017 and 2019, when there were 2 rounds of Belt and Road Summit happened in Beijing, India was the only major economy in Asia not to respond to the Chinese invitation by replying to the Chinese leadership. In fact, we publicly questioned and we did not participate in the Belt and Road Initiatives Summit. So from the beginning, India's position has been quite firm and decisive no matter it was the current government or the previous government. Now, what was India's position? I think India's position was most aptly explained in its official position. That's like just two positions. One, like the Belt and Road Initiatives, which earlier was called One Belt One Road Initiatives, ILU, that actually went through the Pakistan occupied Kashmir, what India consider as a part of India's sovereign territory. So it's a part of China-Pakistan economic corridor. So therefore, India cannot support such initiatives. Second, India actually opposed and questioned the Belt and Road Initiative by saying that India would like to know more about this project because this seems a non-transparent project. It is not a transparent project. So India is the first country officially questioned China's Belt and Road Initiatives. But since then, India's position against Belt and Road Initiatives and against China have actually expanded. And today what we see is that India has also been objecting to the Belt and Road Initiatives because the Belt and Road Initiative is actually making China emerge as a revisionist power. What actually Donald Trump in its national security, national security paper in 2017 actually talked about calling China as a revisionist power. So from India's point of view, Belt and Road Initiative is actually making China to emerge as a revisionist power. So therefore, India cannot support it. And more importantly, what Belt and Road Initiative is doing from India's point of view, it is encircling India and trying to cordon India and sideline India's strategic choices in the regions. And therefore, I would encourage you to have a look at this map very closely. This is a map I actually prepared 2 years back, in fact 3 years back. I have not got time actually to update because of a few other things, but very soon I'm going to update it. So if you see this map actually explains how the Chinese have emerged as a revisionist power over the last 15 years. In fact, from the second tenure of Hu Jintao's presidency, the Chinese are actually continuously building up ports, stationing points, overseas naval bases across the Indian Ocean regions. And that's a worrisome fact for India and for many other regions. So therefore, I think India's position on China's Belt and Road Initiatives was very decisive, very clear from the beginning. And if we take into account all of these developments, it's pretty very clear currently that China's Belt and Road Initiatives is emerging as a threat and a concern to many countries, including India. Now, if you see this map actually talks about the 6 corridors of Belt and Road Initiatives. Now, this is what I was talking about. If you see the China-Mongolia-Russia economic corridor, India does not have much interest in this corridor. And in fact, India became a member of Shanghai Cooperation Organization to be a part of this corridor, to support China's projects, Russia's projects, Central Asian projects, and how to be there. So fundamentally, India does not have any problem. If you talk about the new Eurasian land bridge economic corridor, 16+1 cooperation framework, which is now probably 17+1 cooperation framework. Now, India does not have direct interest there. I mean, yes, we would be concerned about the China's growing outreach in the regions, but again, I think India does not have a direct concern about that. If you talk about the China's Central Asia, West Asia economic corridor, India does have some concern, but not directly a China concern. I think India would like to have a more, Western Asian presence there. And that's what India is continuously working with Iran, with Afghanistan, how to improve its own connectivity issues. If you talk about the lowest right one, that is the Indo-China Peninsula Economic Corridor, the Greater Mekong Sub-region Economic Cooperation Framework, we are actually concerned about China emerging there as an influential maritime actor. If you see the BCIM, the Bangladesh, China, India, Myanmar Economic Corridor, in fact, this was one of those earlier connectivity projects. What actually we started some 2 decades back. So in late 90s we started, and in fact, India became a part of this corridor. But India actually started objecting to Belt and Road initiatives because of the China-Pakistan economic corridor. Because of the China-Pakistan economic corridor goes through a region which is actually exposing to India's national security. And also it is, if you see that line, it is actually passing through the Jammu and Kashmir regions. In fact, what we call the Pakistan occupied Kashmir, which is currently with the Pakistanis. So I think what India said that, I mean, absolutely India was open to support the Belt and Road initiatives, be a part of this, framework. But then China should have consulted India before launching and announcing, and China should have taken India into consideration, looking at India's national security interest. Now, since then, I think if you see a lot of things has happened. And in fact, if you see, even though on the one hand, India was opposing China's Belt and Road initiatives, in 2015-16, when the Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank actually happened, and it was actually proposed and it was propounded, India actually became a founding member. Now here the question is, why India decided to become a part of this AIIB process, but not the Belt and Road initiatives? About Belt and Road initiatives, as I mentioned, it was affecting India's national security calculus. It was going through the Pakistan occupied Kashmir, so we could not support it. But with the AIIB, we became a founding member and we supported it because it was based on a universal proposition. It was a multilateral organization and it was based on a multilateral framework where many countries became the founding members. In fact, if you see this map, after China, India and Russia, Germany, and South Korea, we actually are 3/4 largest, voting shareholders. In fact, India is the second voting largest holder after China. Russia is the third one. Germany is the fourth one, and South Korea is the fifth one. So I think India was actually very keen about the AIB process. Now, so therefore, India's position about Belt and Road initiatives have been very consistent and clear. We will support initiatives, connectivity initiatives, those are universal in nature. So AIIB, we do feel, even though there have been many debates about the transparency of the AIIB, even though there have been questions that, AIIB is being influenced by China, but then it is still under a multilateral framework. So therefore, India is not really against cooperation with China. But when it comes to BRI, Belt and Road initiatives, we were opposing it because we were opposing it on the ground of that it was a China-centric unilateral initiatives. So the debate for India was universal versus unilateral. BRI was a unilateral initiative of China. AIB was a universal proposition of China, India, and many other countries like Russia, Germany, South Korea, and Australia. And today, if you see, of course, some of these slides I'm yet to update it, but if you see some of these projects, AIB has a massive infrastructure investment projects across India. So therefore, we are not actually opposing to the fact to collaboration with the Chinese as far as connectivity issues are concerned, as far as infrastructure investment and financing is concerned, but we are opposing to China's unilateral scheme of things. And if you see, in fact, after that, opposing to China's Belt and Road initiatives, India did start talking about a range of other countries in the Indo-Pacific region to promote infrastructure and connectivity networks. And Japan is a much preferred partner to this effect. In fact, if you see, with the Japanese today, we have a range of cooperations. In fact, the cooperation with Japan is known as special global partnerships. And Japan is the only country with whom India has a very serious cooperation as far as infrastructure and connectivity cooperation is concerned. And Japan is the only country which has been permitted to invest and engage in India's northeastern part of the regions. And in the northeastern part of India, there are 7 provincial states are there. And Japan is the only country which is allowed to invest there. No other foreign countries so far have been approved to invest in all the states. And more than that, Japan has also got bigger projects, the bullet train projects, the Delhi Mumbai industrial corridor projects, and many other infrastructure and connectivity projects across India. And in order to take advantage of that, Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Abe started talking about collaborating and countering the BRI. But then, as every one of us know, countering the BRI means it's a mega thing, because the Chinese have fund, they have a national planning, and it is Xi Jinping's projects, and they want it to get success. And to counter a Belt and Road initiatives kind of projects is really a huge task. So what India and Japan started talking about, that how to have a more Indo-Pacific centric cooperation framework when it comes to connectivity and infrastructure building. So therefore, the Asia-Africa Growth Corridor proposition was discussed. But again, and if you see this map I again prepared 4 years back when the talk was on. But today I don't think Belt and Road initiatives are being Belt and Road initiatives are I mean, Asia Africa Growth Corridor is really taking up. But then what India and Japan decided, that the time has come that both the countries should take the leadership initiative in the Indo-Pacific region and try to bring the smaller countries which are actually going in the Chinese way, and trying to persuade them if they can collaborate with Japan and India. And therefore, if you see, the whole idea behind Asia Africa Growth Corridor was to bring 54 countries from African region, 8 countries from the South Asian region, 11 countries from including Taiwan, probably, if we can call Taiwan a country per se, from Southeast Asian region, and 14 countries from Oceania. So the Asia Africa Growth Corridor was a pan concept. But then I had a very close discussion about this with the former Japanese ambassador to New Delhi, Mr. Suzuki, who is now actually the current ambassador in Netherlands. He was talking about that Asia Africa Growth Corridor is a big concept, but then who is going to finance? So the finance pattern was not really there. We did really talked about Asia Africa Growth Corridor, and Africans were invited in a conference in Mumbai, and then a Africa Development Bank was roped in, but then this idea has not really taken off. So today, I think since this idea really came up, a lot of things has happened. Today we are talking about Indo-Pacific region. Today we are talking about Quad formulation. Today we are talking about much more collaborative initiatives between India, US, and Japan and Australia, intelligence sharing and information sharing. So I think the issues have become much bigger. And that's why the Asia Africa Growth Corridor did not really take up. And between India and Japan, there is a different kind of thing has happened. India and Japan realized that it is better to be more practical, and it is better to actually invite the business groups from both the countries and try to connect with the African business communities, try to execute business friendly projects. And this is what we are currently doing. And between India, Japan, and African countries, we are seeing many cooperations happening currently. In fact, this kind of cooperation is already has started in the Indian Ocean regions. For example, between India, Japan, and Sri Lanka, India, Japan, and Bangladesh, there are project-based cooperation is happening. So India has become much more practical. Japan has also become much more practical, that it is not wise enough to counter per se the Belt and Road initiatives, but it is much more practical to be, more grounded and try to play our cards wherever it is possible. And I think that has been India's position about Belt and Road initiatives. But again, I'll just take one more minute to stop here by saying that all of this also suggests India's China policy. India's China policy is that take China on issue to issue basis. In fact, as you know, we have a long-standing boundary dispute with the Chinese, and our dispute with the Chinese is not really going to be solved anytime soon. In fact, what you saw during the pandemic, there was a bloody clash in the Galwan incident. So the relationship between India and China has gone for a toss. It has become very tense now, and it is still yet to achieve anything normal. And I also don't see the normalization in India-China relationship happening anytime soon. So I don't think India would be any more China friendly, or let's say India would be more practical oriented when it comes to China funded schemes or China involved schemes. So we might actually take a backseat to AIIB, even though we are one of the founding members. We might also now be very careful about Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, about Shanghai Cooperation Organizations, even though India would not really like to withdraw after its tense-full relationship with China, but India would not really be the same country to China, supporting to the multilateral frameworks and opposing to the unilateral initiatives of China. I think India would be more anti-China from now on. And Belt and Road Initiative, no matter in what form it is coming in future, India's position will be much more stronger, and India would continue to oppose the Belt and Road initiatives. I thank you here, and thank you everybody for listening to me.